The Thor of Gore is back, baby, and this time he's got company. Book in your STI checks, peeps, because tonight we're looking at sexually transmitted horror with It Follows. Hi, and after a long hiatus, welcome back to All The Gory Details. I'm your host, the Thor of Gore, Kieran Odinson. Now, when your trade from the night before gives you a sexual condition worse than herpes, you know you're in a bit of trouble. That's kind of the gist of the story this week, as we look at the latest sexually transmitted curse that's taking the world by storm in It Follows. This week, I'm joined by writer, blogger, and author of the upcoming novel Who's Afraid, Maria Lewis. Thanks for coming to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hello.
Directed by relative newcomer David Robert Mitchell, It follows the story of Jay, a young, unassuming college student who's just started dating her hunky new man, Hugh. After a night out with her new beau, the two of them finally do the nasty in his car, and just when you think it's all peaches and cream, on your face, Hugh gets all chloroformy and ties Jay to a wheelchair, explaining that when they had sex, he passed on a curse that will cause an unknown malevolent entity to stalk her with the intent to kill, always walking directly towards her at all times, taking on the form of anyone, unseen by anyone else. The rest of the movie is spent with Jay and her college friends looking for answers, such as who Hugh was and how they can protect their friend who they think is having a post-traumatic breakdown. Armed with a constant sense of dread, a killer 80s synth soundtrack reminiscent of John Carpenter, and some fantastic visuals, It Follows really has the potential to become a new classic of the genre. The entity itself has you constantly scanning the horizon in every shot, looking for the mystery person stalking towards Jay, so it's an awesome device to keep you on the edge of your seat. Maria, what did you think of It Follows?
I absolutely loved it. I think the thing that I liked the most about it was how it subverted horror movie tropes. This whole idea of like the virginal final girl. And I liked what it had to say about female promiscuity and female sexuality, which, you know, big fan of, obviously. I also loved how it kind of flipped the idea of the hero sprinting away from the killer who's walking very slowly, and she's like, ah! So I kind of liked that as well. I think it's a super, super clever movie, and the reason it's had such a big impact, and I say big impact in terms of it's become a cult phenomenon pretty much overnight. It's played at Sundance, it played at Cannes, for God's sakes, which is so rare for a horror movie, let alone to play at Cannes and get nominated for a grand prize, which is huge. But I think the reason it's been so successful and the reason it's having such a big impact is, like all the horror movie classics, it has something important to say about society. It has a poignant message. And that message is, it's basically an AIDS parable, or any sexually transmitted disease parable. And in the same way Dawn of the Dead commented on American consumerism, or The Hills Have Eyes was about the fear of the nuclear age, or Alien was about men's fear of, you know, sexual vulnerability.
And rape, yeah.
Yeah, male rape, that kind of thing, that happy, cheery subject. It Follows has something really significant to say, and I think that's why it's connecting with a lot of audiences. Yeah. And I mean, that score is amazing.
Oh my god, it was just like John Carpenter.
Seriously.
The original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, it's kind of like Drive meets John Carpenter.
Yes.
I don't know if you've gone for a jog while listening to that soundtrack, but you're doing like Tom Cruise karate chop arms because it makes you run.
Yeah.
It's really great.
And I think it really it subverted the genre in a much better way than, I don't know if you've seen the movie Cherry Falls from 2000,
totally
Brittany
true.
Murphy,
Yeah.
campus tits.
Yeah. Well, it's Brittany Murphy, you know.
Yeah.
She ain't no
And
Oscar nominee.
Jay Moore in a wig.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, because nobody realised she was in a wig.
No, yeah. Everyone really thought that was a girl, didn't
That
it?
weave was dank.
Yeah. But yeah, it really did a much better job of reversing those tropes than Cherry Falls did. And that's what I loved. It was one of those movies, it kept you really on the edge of your seat. You didn't know what was coming, and you were constantly scanning the frame to figure out where is it? Is it here?
It was one of those things that after you leave the movie and you're walking home alone, you find yourself scanning your horizons the same way you did in the movie, to pick anyone that might be walking towards you really slowly. And if someone's walking towards you slowly, you're like, oh my God, they're gonna kill me. And that's kind of the cleverness. It's the idea of making very normal things seem abnormal and terrifying, in the same way Hitchcock did with Birds, or even like Jaws, you know, everyone was terrified to even have a bloody bath at that point.
I found that I bought into a lot of the hype, and so it didn't blow me away as much as I was hoping, even though I really enjoyed it. And I think that's the danger when things are so hyped when they go on the festival circuit.
I was pleasantly surprised. Even though it was super hyped, I still really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think there's going to be a really interesting career path to see what the director does next and what all of the filmmakers do next. And especially the lead actress, Marika Monroe, I think her name is. She's got a massive slate of films for the next year or 2 years. So it's going to be really intriguing to see what she gets up to. Oh, she's the shit. She is bananas.
Awesome. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Here is your plug time. What's coming up for you?
My plug time.
Yeah, plug time.
I was like, what do you mean? I don't have any plugs.
Where can
I don't want any butt plugs.
Where can Gorehors find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MovieMaz, so the word movie and Maz, M-A-Z-Z. You can check out my website, which is marialewis.com.au. You can find me on Facebook under Maria Lewis Writer, and I'm also on Instagram as MovieMaz as well. And early 2016, you can check out my first book called Who's Afraid, which is basically like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with werewolf and swearing. So if that's your jam, maybe check it out.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for tonight's episode. To watch my previous episode on Hellraiser 3, click here. And to subscribe to All The Gory Details, click here. Thanks for watching, Gorehors. See you next time.